Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Good day, viewers, and all of you beautiful people out there. It is my pleasure to welcome you again to this week's edition of Money Radio. And this week, specifically, we're talking about this day. Today being Monday, August 22. This is National Economy segment of the program. You are warmly welcome. Today, we're discussing a topic that says, in the midst of revenue generation crisis, should Nigeria increase VAT rate? By VAT, we mean value added tax. In the midst of revenue generation crisis, should Nigeria increase the VAT rate? My name is Keith Hammond. I'm your host, and in the studio with me is our delectable Nse Anthony Uko. So you're welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Usually, I've learned over the past months not to ask you how was your weekend or how was your day, because it will sound like a meaningless question. Since you look sweet, welcome.
Thank you.
Nigeria is going through a plethora of problems. There's no doubt about that, especially when it comes to the issue of revenue generation. Because when we talk about debt, the monetary and fiscal authorities have always said Nigeria does not have a problem with debt. The problem we have is with revenue generation. Yes, that is understandable, because when our debt servicing rate exceeds our revenue generation, we are actually going in the wrong direction, or we are stepping in uncharted territory, deep waters, and we don't seem to know how to swim from that kind of water. So it's a problem. Right now, for every 1 naira that is generated by Nigeria, we use 19 kobo, 1 naira, 19 kobo to service that debt. And so this issue we're discussing today, revenue generation, is apt. That's why I want us to discuss it. Yes. By the way, we talk about revenue generation. Many people have said and continue to say that when it comes to generation of revenue, Nigeria is poor. Do you agree with that? Nigeria is not a good revenue generator, or the federal government, state governments. Do you agree?
I believe this saying stems largely from the fact that the country has so much um, potential revenue earners. And over the years, while the issue of growing our revenue base have been hyped, um, when it comes to specifics to actually diversifying the country's revenue base, we've not seen much impact. We've not seen much result in terms of real revenues, because the country still depends largely on crude oil sales.
Crude oil sales, yes.
So in that regard, there are so many other areas where revenues could be harnessed, which still remain potentials. Those potentials are not realized. So if you're coming from that angle, I would agree with those who are saying that Nigeria is not doing as much as it should in the area of revenue generation. And then also, when we look at our revenues from tax, we've seen a considerable increase in recent years. However, I would say that so many people are still yet to be captured in the revenue net,
Yes.
in the tax net.
Yes.
So when we look at it like that, there are so many high income earners, there are so many politically how do they call that term?
The
Uh,
cabals or the politically connected people.
yeah, those who are mainly politicians, and their real tax
Yes,
is not being captured.
exactly.
What the tax net really looks at, has really captured very well, is the tax of you and I,
Yes.
who just earn some salaries and all
Hmm.
that, and so the tax is deducted, or the companies who are listed on the stock exchange,
Yes.
and so, or registered with Kama, and even not all the companies that are registered with Kama
Yeah.
are
Captured in the
are
tax net.
captured in the tax net. So there is still a wide range of
Yeah. That's why people
areas that,
say. That's why people say Nigeria's tax net is deep and not wide,
yes,
because the few people who pay taxes
yes,
are charged overly.
yes,
You know, if you look around the country, beginning with the Federal Capital Territory,
mhm,
Lagos, people complain about multiple taxation.
yeah,
You see that people who are doing such things as just hawking,
mhm,
there are these people who give them serious attention. Whether those monies they collect from hawkers get to the government coffers, or it's just something that is being done by a few miscreants, you can never tell because things happen.
I can bet you that a large portion, if not all,
Hmm.
of what is collected through those means don't get into any government coffers.
Yes, including the so-called Agbero
Yes,
activities. Those people,
touts
yeah, the
at the motor
touts,
parks.
yes, those people make money, not just at the motor parks. We're talking about at bus stops.
Bus
They
stops,
collect in some places up to 200 naira for every bus
for
stop, for
every
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 vehicle.
vehicle.
Yes, yes, that stops at that bus stop. Whether you are picking up passengers or you're just dropping passengers, you pay. Where do all these monies go to? And the federal government is complaining about the tax revenue. So it is clear that we have a deep tax net,
Mm.
but our tax net should actually be wide. And that is where the problem is. And that brings the question that we are discussing today. Should Nigeria increase VAT, the value added tax? Why do we ask the question? Many people are outside of the tax net, especially for practitioners of informal businesses.
Mhm.
Yes, people who operate informal businesses are actually outside of the tax net. Somehow, we have to admit that the federal government or the state governments are finding it difficult to capture these people in the tax net. As a result, we continue to have this problem where in fact, it seems to be easier to borrow money from
Mm.
the international finance
Financial institutions,
institutions,
multilateral
yes,
agencies, and so on.
than to generate taxation from
That's,
people.
yeah.
Now, with that in mind, you mentioned earlier that those people who are the top of the hierarchy,
Mhm.
they hardly pay taxes. And when I say, I'm not talking about government officials, but people
Yes.
who are connected to government some
Mm-hmm.
way or the other, who run multinational businesses
Businesses.
or who run huge companies, huge enterprises, are not paying taxes. And it seems like the government actually has only they are able to harass the common man to collect taxes. And this the taxes that the common man pays. Actually, although if you gather much of it, it can mean something, but these people out there who are the high and mighty, who do not pay taxes, are actually the ones that are injuring the government. And when we talk about taxes here, these people are the ones that benefit most from the economy. I just want to divert a little bit. Take, for example, fuel subsidy. The car you use, the car I use, the car. In fact, we go by public transport sometimes.
Mm,
Now, how much do these people burn in terms of fuel subsidy? And the cars are actually fuel efficient that you and I use,
mm-hmm.
no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But when you have a G wagon,
Mm-hmm.
a Toyota, a Toyota SUV that is 8 cylinder, you know that yes, these are people who consume the fuel,
Mm-hmm.
which is being subsidized from the taxes of you and I. So there's actually a lopsided situation here. And all of this, we talk about tax net. So let's come back to our issue we're discussing today. Should Nigeria increase the rate of VAT to make taxation all inclusive? Because when we talk about VAT, you know, everybody pays VAT. As long as you are buying or you are consuming, you must pay VAT. Should Nigeria increase her VAT rate? What do you think?
The VAT rate has already risen. I know Nigeria remained
One of the
collected,
lowest.
yes, one of the lowest. The value added tax was at 5% for
Yes.
a very long time.
Yes.
And there was a huge debate on whether it should be increased or left as it were. However, as the government challenge, revenue challenge crisis deepened, the government had to make the decision to raise the value added tax rate from 5% to 7.5%,
Yes.
which is what is on ground right now. And Nigeria being um, a largely consuming a consumer nation, and many of the its products coming in from buying of finished products. A lot of people are already, and if we also look at the fact that this tax VAT is at across board.
Yes.
What happens to luxury items? Because that was the debate that was on when the issue about raising VAT was in the air.
Yes.
That why not, rather than raising VAT for every item, why not target the luxury items and raise excise duties on them, raise duties on private jets, on
Yes.
high, like things
Some
that are not
look, there are Nigerians that
luxury
own yachts.
items. Yes, yeah, there are many
There are
Nigerians
Nigerians
who
that own
own
yachts.
yachts, and then yeah, and
And those
there
things may
are,
just be occupying space.
yes,
You talk about
and
private jets.
yes,
Those things may
and
be out there. They are supposed to be paying. I know of a billionaire in this country who, and I wouldn't mention any names, but I know of a billionaire who has admitted that when he travels, I don't know actually if I should say when he travels or whenever he traveled
mm,
to the UK
mhm,
using his private jet,
mhm,
what he would normally do is as soon as those his jet would drop him,
mhm,
he would tell the pilot, take the plane back to
to
Nigeria
Nigeria,
until he's around about to
about to
leave
leave.
the UK. Then he said, come and pick me up. The reason is this: for every hour you spent at the tarmac,
Yeah,
at the airport,
yes.
parking your plane,
Mhm,
is £243, according to him then.
mhm, mhm.
So with £243 per hour, 24 hours, and then you talk about 2 weeks, you know how
Or
much you
more
are paying,
than that.
or more than that. So he was actually being astute by
Yes.
saying, take my plane back to Nigeria
Nigeria,
and
where
park it
it
there
can be packed there for
for
months,
months,
years,
and
and
nothing will
then
happen.
nothing happens, no additional cost. Meanwhile, the little items that you and I just used to, and all others that are, below this, who are even still grappling
Yes.
with the current economic
Hardship.
when wages are not being raised.
Yes. Struggling to eat.
Ensure that
You have food on
your table.
They are
Then
the ones that
they
are
are the ones that are being taxed. And this VAT on every item, on the soap you go out there to buy, on a bottle of a soft drink, and even at that, you remember the carbonated
Yes, it's being
drink,
taxed also.
Tax,
sugar tax.
the sugar tax that has been imposed in addition
Mm-hmm.
to the 7.5% VAT rate.
Yeah.
So if we look at it that way, I believe that with the large number that Nigerians are, we have a very a large number of people, and so 7.5% should do.
I have an argument against the 7.5. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll discuss more. Stay tuned, listeners.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Welcome back, viewers. You're still on to Money Radio, and the topic we're discussing is: in the midst of revenue generation crisis, should Nigeria increase VAT? Still in the studio with me is Mr. Anthony Uko, our in-house analyst. So thank you for staying with us.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, should Nigeria increase VAT? Now, this is the argument. Just before we went on that break, I said I have an argument against this 7.5% VAT. First of all, Nigeria, the only country in Africa which Nigeria pays more than in terms of VAT rate is Eritrea. Nigeria pays Nigerians pay 7.5%, Eritreans pay 5%, who were at the same level before. That one has increased. Compared to, I will say, first of all, we'll go to African countries before we go to the world.
Okay.
Let's talk about tax to GDP. Nigeria is around the lowest, around 8 point something to 9% tax to GDP. Isn't that so?
Is it up to 8?
Okay, no, it's even 6.
It's 6.3%.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that disagreement. Yeah, you just brought my back. It's around 6% tax to GDP.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, in other African countries, they are oscillating between 16 and 18%. Yes. So tax to GDP, we are actually among the lowest.
Mm-hmm.
And in some specific African countries, it's up to 20%. In fact, there is a few of them that are up to 23% tax to GDP, whereas Nigeria is around 6%. Dismally low. Clear. Other parts of the world, such as Latin America, you go into the 30% mark tax to GDP. In the USA and you go to up to 50, 60%. There are some countries in Europe, Western Europe, that pay up to 60%. Or I'm talking in terms of tax to GDP. Yeah, so if you look at countries like Norway, although the remaining 40% which comes to the individual is basically just to consume, feeding
Yes.
and
Because so
entertaining yourself.
many that
Because
you
all the
have all
incentives
the
are there.
incentives, all the
You-
infrastructure,
Everything is
everything
there.
is working.
You want a car, it's easy. You
It's
just go
easy.
and get it. Hospital,
Hospitals, all this
pension, they don't worry about any such things.
So okay.
So the 40% doesn't make any. In fact, if you like, you can even give them 30% what they are any. They're happy with it because everything is there. If you are even out of work, yes, they bring you food. That is part of the welfare program that they have
Welfare,
there.
yeah.
So it's understandable.
Mm-hmm.
But the point I'm driving at is now Africa, we are around that 18% tax to GDP, and Nigeria is around 6%. When it comes to the payment of VAT, African countries on average pay around 16-17% VAT. Nigeria, 7%. Now, if you look at the analysis in national economy, you come to realize that much of what is contributing to the higher tax rate of the rest of the African countries is actually VAT. Because when it comes to the issue of corporate income tax and not corporate, yeah, corporate income tax and then
Yes.
the personal income tax,
income tax.
in fact, we are a bit ahead of them. But when it comes to this issue of VAT, they do better. So I think the VAT is actually spread, is widened, the net is widened. Now, let's consider we had, for example, increased VAT, and the government is generating more revenue. This issue of debt payment, where we pay more as debt servicing than we generate in terms of taxation. If we had VAT, my argument, if we had higher VAT and we're able to meet up some of the issues we are actually suffering right now, which include infrastructure, but not just infrastructure. In this case, I'm talking specifically about debt servicing. And that debt servicing, which we are plunging deeper into, if care is not taken, we are going to begin to go into recession very soon. Of course, that is contributing to inflation because that is, take it or leave it, is even contributing to the issue that we have about forex scarcity and all of that. So the fact that we're not able to generate enough is contributing in its own in individual ways or to the deeper steps we are taking into the waters. And that's why I think instead of suffering the few or digging deeper into um, the tax net, I think VAT can widen that net. And once it is widened and everybody is paying, because look, with VAT, even my 10-year-old son will pay. Yes.
Well,
He will pay. He will pay taxes because he will go to buy his sweets. He will go to buy his biscuits. He will pay taxes there on VAT.
When you talk about increasing the rate of VAT, you're still talking about deepening the tax rate, not widening the net.
But with VAT, everybody will pay.
Everybody pays, and everybody will. Those who are paying 7.5% now, they will now have to pay more. Then what happens with those outside the tax net that have not been captured? They remain outside, and then the people who are paying still continue to pay. Then
You make a point there.
what happens to the people who can afford, there are some drinks,
Mhm.
some alcoholic drinks that cost up to 100,000 and above.
Exactly.
And the-
125 as of
yes,
2013.
and the people who can afford to buy that one bottle of drink that can feed an entire family for for more than a month,
Yes.
will still pay the same 7.5% VAT on it.
Yes, but the quality of the kind of goods, the class of goods he's going to be consuming, he will have to pay more. See, if you are buying
What I'm
biscuits, if you are
saying
buying biscuits,
is,
one second, please. If you are buying a pack of biscuit, a small pack of biscuit for 20 naira or say 100 naira, the VAT of um, say 10%, for example, VAT of 10%, you're going to just pay 10 naira on it, or maybe you pay 100 naira, 110 naira, including VAT. That is, you are paying 10 naira extra. For a person who is paying for a drink that is costing 100,000, his VAT rate will be 10,000 naira. So he's going to be paying higher.
but the main fact, what I'm trying to point out here is that the person who is buying biscuits,
Mhm.
or buying bread,
Mhm.
or buying something to eat, is actually buying something that is a necessity.
It's a necessity, yes, of course.
The person that is buying a drink at that level and so many other luxury consumption items,
Yes.
those are not really items that are necessities.
Mhm.
They are actually luxuries. So the main fact that it can, no doubt that VAT at that level will be higher
Mhm.
because of the cost of the item, but they can afford it.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, that rather than increasing the general VAT rate,
Mhm.
why not have a graduated
Okay.
VAT rate,
Great. Yes.
depending on the item?
You make a good point.
Is the item a
So you are an
necessity?
activist.
Is the item a necessity, or is the item a luxury? And that should form the basis for your
I
VAT.
hope.
And
I
then,
want to hope.
and then there are so many areas
Mhm.
where the VAT net the tax net can be extended to, that they will be brought in. As at 2021, the FIRS made 6.4 trillion. That was over um, a trillion naira from the previous year.
Okay.
And for the current year, I think they have a slightly higher target than what was made last year. They beat their target. And so it means that there is still other areas. There are places where they can widen the tax net without necessarily increasing the VAT rate for the common things, making it such that you can't the common man can't even afford the little things that they can use to keep put body and soul together.
One thing that makes me happy about this your
Yes.
analysis is
Yes.
that you did not include people who go to drink beer. You did not mention
That's
that they
part
should.
of the luxury. And I was like, when they said the sugar tax,
Mhm.
I was like, there's sugar in beer, so
They should not. Let them not go around beer. Why should they go around beer? You know, it's a interestingly, right now there is a bill in the parliament in Japan
okay.
that no, not a bill. Actually, the Japanese government has actually they are carrying out a survey on how to increase revenue. And part of the suggestions from the people is that the Japanese government, if they are encouraging young people to go and drink more, take in more alcohol, and as a result of that, you make sure you're actually making the the brewery companies to produce more, and that way they are paying more taxes, and the economy is going to be growing. So all of these things, I hope you are not going to be biased when we talk about these kind of things later on. That's how we want to draw the curtain on today's edition of Money Radio. So thanks for coming again.
You're welcome.
And we say thanks to you, our producers, but our biggest thanks go to you who follow us loyally in this program. We'll be back tomorrow with a fresh edition of the program, Money Radio, and that will be the agribusiness and industry segment of the program. Until we meet, I've been your host, Case Hammond. Have a great day.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact